Okay, we're in project 2. You're at the very end. You've developed your icon, whether it's by hand traditionally, or let's say you use some application other than Adobe Illustrator, so something that doesn't have vector. And you're ready to make your final letter and icon combination. What do you do? So you have many options. From what I can tell, countless options, but the one option that I highly recommend is Adobe Illustrator. So if we look at the deliverables of this project, we've got final artwork size is 8 by 10 inches, and your image should have a comfortable amount of white space. I recommend about 1.5 inches. That is an approximation because it's almost impossible to make it exactly 1.5 inches. But let's give it a shot. Here's an example of the final letter, letter D, and the icon placed on top of it. So we'll go to Content, we go to Project 2, and we can see here sans serif and serif letters. You download whichever one you want. So I'll just hit download, and it's a PDF. Here it is. Now I don't want to double click it. If I double click it, it just opens up. So in my case, default is preview. Yours might be some other application, but that doesn't really help me. So don't do that. Instead, I'm going to right click and I'm going to open with Adobe Illustrator. Okay. Make sure that you have black arrow selected up here. So on the left hand side, black arrow is selected and you want to just select the letter that you want. I'm going to hit Command C or edit, copy. Now, I want to copy it somewhere, so I'm going to go File, New. And we know that the specs are 8 by 10. That's what I want, 8 by 10 inches. I want the color to be CMYK so I can print, create. Here's my page. So this will be my final page, my final composition. And I'm going to paste my letter. So Edit, Paste, or Command V. On Windows, it's Windows V. Something's interesting here. Because I'm choosing a letter that's more horizontal, I actually want my page to be horizontal too. So I want it to be landscape. So the way to do that is to just go up into File here, hit Document Setup. We're going to hit Artboard, and I'm going to click up here, double click up here, and so right here where it says 01 Artboard 1. And I can see orientation. I want it to be this way. So yours, it might be fine to be vertical or portrait. Leave it. That's fine. But for me, my letter is more horizontal than vertical. So I'm going to go for the landscape. So let's go OK. All right. Once I've established that, if I just click back onto the black arrow, it'll deselect everything and we're back to normal. So I'm finding this is looking just a bit big. I'm going to make it a bit smaller. So, way to do that, when I'm scaling this, I don't want it to move around. I'm going to hit Shift. So hold Shift down as I'm scaling it up or down. I'm just going to move some of this stuff out of the way so I can see everything clearly and there's nothing blocking my artwork. I'm just going to push it all over here. View and go all the way down to the bottom and it says Show Rulers. So just mouse over, Show Rulers. And I'm going to eyeball this. So I've got rulers on the top, rulers on the left. So now if I go in here and I drag, so click and drag from the ruler, I get a line, I get a guideline. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to go to about the 1.5 inch mark, and I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom. And then I'm going to go from the side, same thing. And the other side. And actually, it's good that I did that. I can see that I didn't quite center it. There's more space at the top. So I'll just click this, click the letter, and again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm not that interested in perfect accuracy right now. It's fine. Just make sure that it looks, you feel it looks okay and it looks like it's about centered. We're good. So we'll call that done. Now I want to make sure that I have my layers open. And actually, I'm going to reorganize this. If I go to Windows at the top, Workspace, and just hit Essentials Classic, It's going to reorganize everything so that on the right hand side it's a little bit cleaner. I can see what's here. So I'll click on this. This is the layers. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lock this. So if I go beside the eyeball here, lock it. And now I'm going to create a new layer here. And this is where I'm going to put my icon. I went on a website called brandsoftheworld.com and I grabbed a couple of logos that I thought would be interesting to convert into vector. So the first one is this Gorillas logo. So let's do this. Actually, before I do that, I'm going back here. I'm going to hide this. So clicking the eyeball hides that layer. It's just going to be easier for me to look at it. So let's go back to this. And I'm just going to drag it in. So drag and drop. And when I go in here, I see that it's dropped in. And I'm just going to scale it up again. Hit shift as you scale. So this is kind of complex. I chose that on purpose because it is complex. And I want to show you how you convert. So select it. Go to Window. Go to Image Trace. And this will pop up. Now, here's a couple of things that I'm assuming. I'm assuming that you've already made yours black and white, so either a white icon on a black background, which is ideal. That's the best. If you can do that before you even get to this stage, that would be great. In my case, I have a black icon or black artwork on a white background. What I'm going to do is I want black and white because I'm just dealing with black and white. So that'll make sure that it just is clean. Oh, and by the way, the other thing that I was going to say is I'm also assuming that your background is fairly clean, like pretty close to white with black artwork or pretty close to black with white artwork. That's ideal. Otherwise, you might run into some issues, but let's just go with this. I'm going to hit preview. Now I'm going to zoom in because what happened here is you can see it's a little bit jaggedy. Maybe it's not great. There's some more options here. If I go to advanced, now I can kind of choose how many paths I want. So that has to do with how many vectors, like how much detail I have in the vectors. Because this is pretty, there's a lot of details, I might just go in the high end and make sure that there's lots of paths here. It is going to make my file bigger, but because it's vector, it should be okay. Okay, once you get it to a point that you're happy with, just hit expand down here. Oh, before I do, I'm actually going to hit ignore color, and it's ignoring white. What that means is it will only give me artwork for the black, not for the white. So the white is now transparent, and the black is going to be vector shapes. Hit expand, and there we go. We can take a look at it. We'll see how it did. It did okay. If I select it with the black arrow tool, it will select the entire thing. But let's say I use the white arrow tool. Well, now I can actually edit these individual nodes. This gets complicated. This is where, so these individual anchors, I can edit them. I can smooth them out. I can make them more even. I can even delete them if I want to. So there's options over here. I can add anchors, delete anchors. If I hit delete anchors, it actually deletes the ones that I select. But I can add them back in. Anchor point lets me change the shape. So if it's pointy, I can make it more curved. Vice versa, if it's curved, like this one, I can make it pointy, like that. But let's just leave that alone. I'm going to undo that. This is just to show you that you can edit your vector shape after you've created it. So I'm going to, maybe I'll hide this layer. We'll keep the layer. Don't know if I'm going to need it. Maybe not. But let's just hide it. Let's make a new layer. Because I wanted to show you what would be more kind of what we would do for this project. I've got the WWF logo. So this is the World Wildlife Foundation logo. Drag that in. There we go. Scale it up a little. Okay. Now, yeah, this is more aligned with what you would probably do for this project. So we've got an icon. We've got a logo. Same process. So I've got it selected. I'm just going to click on the image trace window here that I have. Again, I'm going to zoom in. And I don't really care about the letters. I'm focused more on this. And it's pretty high res. it is important that you, if you can, the highest res you have, the better. So I'll hit preview. And it actually did, right off the bat, did a great job. So I can change this. You see it wiggles around a little bit. So it really comes down to like, what is the shape that I'm looking for? How many paths do I want? And try to go all the way down to the end, all the way up to the high end, just to see what the differences are. Like if I go threshold all the way down to the end, well, actually it goes away, disappears. But if I go all the way up to the top, yeah, it gets really thick. So find the right combination that works for you. I'm going to stop there. And again, I'll hit ignore color. So it's going to ignore the white. And I'm going to hit expand. Okay, same as before. I now have everything is grouped together, which is not ideal because let's say I get some stuff like this and I want to delete it. Well, a couple of ways I could do that. The way that I'm going to do it right now is I'm going to ungroup. So object ungroup. And I'm going to click off to the side here, off the artwork. And using the black arrow tool, I'm going to select this. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete this as well. Delete that, delete that. So I just want to be left with just the icon. Now, because I ungrouped it all though, there's some of these objects like the ear that now are not linked. They're ungrouped. So they just kind of float around and we don't want that. So it's undoing all that stuff. I'm going to select everything with the black arrow tool and I'm going to group it. So that's the easiest way, I think, to do that. But I've got a black icon. I need it to be white because I'm putting it on this letter, right? So let's start by scaling it up because I know I want it pretty big. And let's change it to white. So it's all grouped together. Here's the color. It's black. Let's make it white. So if we go to color swatches, we have a white color swatch. If you don't have a white color swatch, you could also go, let's just cancel that. You could also go to, there should be a layer, and I'm going to put this away here. There should be something called the color palette here. And in the color palette, you can choose grayscale. And you can actually go all the way to white. Oh, it looks like we already have a white one, so I can just click on that. So it's white now. Okay. So if we go back to layers, I've got the icon on the white layer. I'm going to bring back, so right now the letter is hidden. I'm going to bring it back. Okay. And like I said, I have it locked, which means now I can move this around. And I won't accidentally move the W. You might find, depending on what layer you put your guides on. Now, because I put the guides on the letter layer, it's fine. It's locked. But if it's not locked, the guides will move around with your object. But here's where I can move the object or the icon around, scale it. Remember, hold shift when you scale because you don't want to warp the shapes. Find that combination that works for you. So let's say I'm done. I've done all my adjustments. I'm happy with this. You could delete stuff that's hidden, but you could just leave it. It doesn't matter. Just keep it hidden. Now I'm done. So first step is I want to hit save. So this will save the Adobe Illustrator file. So Adobe Illustrator, save. And it's just saying Adobe 2020, sure. But now I want to save my final copy, my final layout, export as, and here's where we will leave the name of it, but we're going to change here. Change this to PDF. I'll hit export. Then it's going to ask me what kind I want, the preset. So I'm getting this default. You might have something different, but just because I know that it works 100% of the time, I'm going to hit this PDF X1A 2001. This is a standard printer setting for North America, so we're just going to hit that, and I'll hit export PDF. Done. That's it. So now I'm finished Once you kind of are totally done, upload your file. Okay, you just upload it to Slate. So you go to assessment, assignment, and upload it there. And just follow the instructions that are on the brief. Okay, hope that helps. And yeah, see you next class.